Shy Bro, Father James, the Deacon Hung.
Ay.
A Man Called Oh, that was our last St. Juliana Parish Book Club selection before we went into Corona. That was Gail's selection, so thank you, Gail, for naming the book and also
Nice.
getting the book for us to read. So I just read it. We didn't, of course, have a chance to discuss it as a group, maybe in the future. And I read it at
Yes, you
least.
did.
I
Yeah.
gave it to Deacon Hank to read. I thought it would be nice for the two of us to discuss it.
Which we
And
will.
how was it, Deacon Hank? How did it end? You want to tell
It was
me?
good. How it ended, I don't want to give away spoilers
Yeah,
to
it's
those
like
who
a
didn't finish it.
freshman in high school who just didn't read the book and trying to give a book report on it.
I,
He was going to
I
talk
read
about
some
Gran
of it.
Torino, which actually I thought was interesting connection. As I was
Yeah.
reading this book, a lot of Gran Torino came to mind. That awesome Clint
I-
Eastwood movie. So maybe we'll tie that in.
Yeah, I'll fess up. I read 30 pages of it. I was intrigued with the same theme around the man Ove with the movie Gran Torino, so we'll get into that.
He's a curmudgeon. It takes place in Sweden, and they live in kind of like a middle class condominium complex type thing. And it just tells the story of this guy who he's 59 years old. His wife is deceased. Real bitter, kind of angry guy. But you find out throughout the story his own story, his background, and then maybe a little rationale for why he's got that edge to him.
It's actually kind of a similar premise to the movie Up.
I don't know if I saw Up.
Up is another movie like that. It's got the old guy that it's kind of one of the main characters.
Who's the
His wife
actor?
has passed away.
Yeah.
Ed Asner is the
Okay,
voice actor
sure.
for him, I
Yeah.
think. And yeah, his wife had passed away, but he had this wonderful life that kind of unfolds. But yeah, he's definitely a curmudgeon at the beginning of it.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting truths that are portrayed in the book, A Man Called Ove. First is, so Ove experiences a slight, subtle transformation throughout the book. He wants to, again, spoiler, he wants to commit suicide. He's unhappy. He misses his wife. And each day is like a new attempt that he tries to kill himself, but every attempt gets foiled. So he like tries to hang himself, then he turns the car on in the garage, and every time it's basically his neighbors that come and disrupt him. So this new family comes into the compound, and the wife is, I think, Iranian or something, and she's
Yeah,
got two little
Arabic.
girls. So he basically develops a relationship with them. She's pregnant, and so he kind of slowly becomes like a grandfather to that family. You find out there's another neighbor, kind of a portly, maybe 29, 30-year-old man who Ove also took care of when you find out that story. Then also Ove's next door neighbor, who's an older man with a wife who he used to be friends with and he had a falling out with. The man has Alzheimer's or dementia, and he takes care of him too. So these people in his life draw the best out of Ove, and they make him, one, continue to live, but then also Ove's got these skills. He's a handyman, and so he puts them to use, fixing dishwashers and repairing fences and mowing the lawn and fixing cars. So he's required to put all these skills to use, and that gives him a sense of purpose and meaning.
Yeah, and similar theme you find in Gran Torino. Here's, I think, Walt Kowalski is his name, and
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, great film. So he's living in a kind of his old house. His wife has passed away, but he's living in a kind of a rough neighborhood with these Hmong people,
Yeah, they're
an Asian
Vietnamese or
immigrant
something,
group. Yeah, and so he's not smitten with them in any way, but he's got all these skills over the years, and he comes to be a father figure, grandfather figure to one of the neighborhood boys, and really helps him to kind of come into his own through trades and teaching him responsibility, and that's kind of his coming of age moment too.
We need other people in our lives. I know it's a basic truth, but it gets to the sense of communion. You might think you're an island, and sometimes I feel this way. Like if I was just by myself, I'd be fine. I wouldn't be annoyed, or I'd be able to get more work done. But then you slip into yourself, and that's, at least for in my case, a dark place that I don't always want to be.
Happens.
So Ove, just living by himself, yeah, he's got everything ordered and nice, but he's unhappy, and it's the other people that give him, again, that sense of meaning and fulfillment. Same with Clint Eastwood. He befriends that young Hmong boy,
yeah.
and
Tove, I think.
tries to take care of him. And
Yeah.
so we need each other, whether it's your immediate family or neighbors or the community of saints. If you have literally no one to be with you, and you're never alone, that's why prayer is important.
Mm-hmm. And to have our elders with us, our grandparents, they've lived through a lot, and their wisdom and their purpose and their experience is so beneficial for us. I know sometimes that, no fault of their own, sometimes our own immediate parents can be, may seem absent or something, and a grandparent can be more present to us sometimes. And there's a wonderful, bond to live into that with a beloved grandfather or grandmother. It's a recognition of that I'm part of more than just my immediate family, other generations, other parts of my family that have gone before me, and it's nice to tap into that.
We've mentioned our grandparents before. Maybe we'll do another podcast on the power of grandparents. One other thing I wanted to bring up briefly here, to kind of conclude with, is the justification of anger or bitterness. That would have been a question I asked the book club, or maybe I will at some point. Is Ove justified in his being a curmudgeon, or same with Clint Eastwood?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the book, you find out his story, and you kind of think, oh, well, there's a valid excuse. Like, he kind of was given a raw deal throughout his life, and they're unable to have children. His wife was in a bus accident, and you just think, all right, he's given a poor lot, and so, in a way, it's acceptable for him to be angry and short with people. But is that really the case? I wonder, is there ever justification for impoliteness or discourtesy or anger?
Curmudgeonness.
Curmudgeonness.
I would, with perspective from Gran Torino, I think Walt's curmudgeonness, and sometimes we feel like, oh, that's so old world.
Surliness.
Kind of surliness, that's a good one. Is that in their anger or their caution to all things new, I think it's not unprecedented, because they grew up in their generation. They were fine. They had less than we had in some cases, and they grew up just fine. Everything was fine. It wasn't the best world, but they succeeded. They raised a family. Everything was good. So with all the new things that come in culture, new fads and stuff, when our grandparents kind of sneer at it or seem like curmudgeons, I think there's a bit of wisdom in that we should have a little caution to all things new, and it's not a bad thing.
Okay, I might take a slightly different approach. So Ove, I appreciate in the story how Ove is charitable. He helps people, but I don't think he's justified in his anger, and I don't think he's actually that much of an inspiring figure. Yeah, he was given a raw deal. A lot of us could have excuses to be angry, but I think it's that's where holiness comes through, and God's grace to not, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are those who mourn. There's a way to receive injustice or pain and still have that sense of inner joy and not be a total jerk. So, but that's, again, very hard to do on our own. That's why we need God's grace and the sacraments, which hopefully we'll be able to receive one day. Amen. So maybe it's worth a read. It's an easy, quick read, and definitely watch Gran Torino. That's an awesome movie. God bless.
Peace.